Power hour. It's the what? Power hour. It's the who? Power hour. Yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Power hour. It's the what? Power hour. It's the who? Power hour. Yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and
Shalom. Welcome to the Power Hour, Native Latin and Black Biblical Topics. I am Captain Joshua.
Shalom, happy Sabbath, Captain Apario.
Shalom, Most High in Christ bless, Captain Amariah.
Happy Sabbath, Officer Shia.
Officer Shia in the house.
In
we
the
are
building.
back.
On the ones and twos. It's been a while, right?
Been a couple weeks. First, we had the men's conference, and we did not want to compete with anything that they were doing. So, decently
right.
and in order, we
That's
did
right.
not do the show. And then last week was Atonement. We were out at camp as commanded, so the show was canceled then so that we can comply with the law. So we were out at camp. So we're back, though. We're back today. Oh, look, it's episode 139.
That's right.
I like that. Yeah, we're numbering the episodes so you guys can be more easily search for us. We've been putting out snippets. I know some people watch the show and they've been commenting on the snippets that we put in there, like, where's the rest of it? And it's like, it's just a snippet, so you can search for the rest of it,
That's
right?
right.
Hit, and you can search by the episode number now. So we're numbering it so you can search for it. So.
And the link to the full video is in the description box.
Oh, we make it even easier for you. The link to the full video is in the description box.
Who is this guy?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Who's
My
this
goodness.
guy? This guy. All right, so I'm here trying to figure out this new Facebook layout. I want to freaking like share the thing like I normally do. And come on, Facebook. The hell is this? This new layout. I don't want my desktop to look like my phone.
Nope.
Why are they making it look like my phone?
I hate it. I hate it,
Like,
bro.
I go to my desktop to get a desktop view to do desktop viewing things.
Right.
Like, unless you're gonna make my thing touchscreen, so it's like my phone, stop it.
I even hit desktop on my mobile because I just don't like the mobile view of it.
Oh
at all.
my gosh, I can't take this new layout. Like, I don't understand it. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm trying to share this thing. It's telling me I know.
First Kobe and then
More
COVID
options?
and now freaking
Oh, here
mobile
we go. Share the
desktops.
page. Okay, I see a Phoenix. There we go.
Just over 2020
All right.
already.
It takes the youngin to let me know. How old are you, Officer Shia?
27,
Yeah. It takes the millennial to let me know. What year were you born?
93.
Oh yeah, you're a millennial.
He said that like Bugsy. I was watching it the other day. 20 dwarves took turns doing handstands. Carpet.
Oh, why?
27.
Because we spoke about it. It made you want to
It
watch
popped
it.
up.
Oh, look at that! Wow. They were
Popped
listening.
up, bro.
They were listening.
it popped up.
Listen,
It wasn't on
hey,
there, man.
Why did like some revolutionary natural heartburn remedy pop up on my Facebook the other
Hey,
day?
you've been having
Did
that.
it work?
And I don't know. I ordered it though. I mean, it worked as far as them getting me to buy it.
Right.
I'll see if it works to use it. I
That
mean,
is so
you know,
crazy.
sometimes I look at that stuff and I'm like, I like for them to read my mind because,
No.
right?
Remember
Like,
how I rented the Challenger to go
Right,
to Vegas?
right.
So now I've been getting all these raffle things to
Yo,
enter
that's
to
crazy,
win
bro.
or to win a
Right.
Dodge Challenger.
right. So part of me likes it when it recommends something good, and
Yeah.
then other times I'm like, that's just creepy.
Yep.
I'm like, that's just real freaking creepy how they do that. Like, it's really wild. Hey, it always goes back to that story where I tell you the brother pulled up the thing,
know.
and there was, like I said, hot Asian honeys on the side of his email banner, and he was like trying to defend it. I said, bro, that only shows up like if you were.
And, they were,
like,
and, that,
looking
and that
for
was
that.
years ago.
Bro, you wasn't searching chicken wings near me.
That was years ago.
Right. So
was-
it's only gotten better now.
Yeah.
So now it's like you
Yeah.
don't even got to go there, because I didn't go looking for Harbor Medicine online, and they started recommending that stuff to me. So it's crazy. Which brings me to I know we've been talking about that. We're gonna do the 2-hour spot. They changed the time for us on Sundays, and I get it. We're lowering the pecking order. Deacon Athan needed that slot, so he got that slot for his show. So we got to work it out for ours. I got like a list of topics that I think are longer to speak about. So I started reading about and watching snippets of the new documentary, The Social Dilemma, on Netflix. And I've been meaning to do a social media class. So I'm going to probably approach it from that angle. my dilemma was, do I do it as a class or do I do it as a radio show topic? And I think it might, maybe we can talk about it a little in class, but I think it would go really well as like a 2-hour topic for us to talk about,
for sure.
show snippets from the Netflix and all
Well,
that stuff.
we
like
are on
that.
social
So-
media, right? So
Right,
it's
right.
appropriate.
Right. So, I mean, like, it's creepy stuff. Like, some of the excerpts they're talking, like, people are like, yo, I want to, like, throw away my phone and, like, disconnect after
Yep.
watching
Yep.
like, the stuff that they do. Like, and it reminded me of this movie, Ex Machina, that I
remember
had
that movie,
seen.
yeah.
And everybody gets so caught up in the AI and the AI tricking him that they forget the underlying theme of the conversation they had when the guy first got there and what he wanted him to do to prove his AI was legit. And basically, Oscar Isaacs is the actor in there. And this is just to give you a little preview for when that show comes. And one of the things that stood out to me immediately when he was talking about, I got to go back and watch that movie again. It was one of those that had me thinking for a few days. Like, those are the best. Like, it's disturbing to the point that it
for
got
sure.
you thinking about it for a few days. And he was talking to him because basically Oscar Isaacs was supposed to be like the Google guy. Like, he was the one that created the search engine. And he was, so, they're having a discussion about, oh, what does it do? And he was like, yeah, well, it helped us gather data on people. And, he was like, yeah, sure. Like, so that you can market to them, like what we're talking about. Yeah. So you can know, what they're searching for and this and that. And he says, no, what it told us is how the human brain thinks and how people think, not what they're looking for and he goes, that's small potatoes. He goes, how? And with that, how, he created this AI in Ex Machina. And the goal of the AI was to convince him that it was human, that the AI, I forgot the name of the scientist. There's like a test for AI and how good AI is.
Mm-hmm.
And if the AI can persuade you or fool a person, you fully knowing that it's AI, that it's alive and living and you treat it as such, then it passes the test of a superior AI, basically. And that's basically what, in the movie, what happens with this AI. So, and it's wild because, like, he put a human face on it, but he made sure to leave a robotic body. So to basically firm up the test, like to say, well, look, you see that it's a robot, but you're still reacting to it like you would another person and stuff like that. And then there's some suspense and twists, which I don't want to give away in case anybody wants to watch it. But it's it goes back to, they started talking about elements of that in the social media dilemma, because they were saying, like, these are the guys who made these things, like Facebook and everything else, and they're saying it's like, it's not just what you're looking for, like, they count how long you stay looking at a picture, how long you stay looking at a video.
Boom, heartburn medicine.
And then
up,
right. or if you're lewd and you're there looking at porn and stuff. So basically they're cataloging how you think. I mean, and I don't know, you can go everywhere with this, right? Let's say they want to clone you and whatever. Like,
Yeah, right.
Hey, good example of this, just to show you this technology and this whole thing was out years ago. 1968, a movie by the name of 2001: Space Odyssey.
oh, that's right.
It's you know what? It's cerebral because that's how Stanley Kubrick, if you follow his movies, were. And it's long.
Art imitating life or life imitating
Yeah,
art.
it was one of those, man. But in the movie, the machine actually takes over, and that's what it's really all about. At the end of the day, it's out there, but it was that far ahead.
There's a new
1960.
movie.
Do you guys have that like hum?
Yeah.
I think it's a microphone.
I've been having it since the last one. It was
We
never
gotta.
fixed.
I mean, let's not try to fix it now because we're gonna mess up the show. But that needs to be sorted out because that wasn't there.
No.
Prior when we started getting the sound in the headphones. Right. So there's something off with the sound.
Yeah, and
board
there's
or something.
and I think there's a short on one of the wires because I keep getting that cracking.
It's gonna get PMs.
PM, CPL.
Yeah. We gotta look at all that
COP.
stuff. All right, so we're happy to be back on. I also hate to like not have a show up. I don't know. Did we put up replacement shows? Like just highlight we should highlight a replay when we're not airing.
That's way too much initiative.
Yeah, that's way too much in it. I mean, you're good, but we got to knock you down a notch because you're not great yet.
Yes, sir.
So that would have took too much initiative for you to say, hey, let me put a replacement show in place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Shit.
were just like,
I'm
wow,
sorry.
I don't gotta.
Oh,
He was
shit.
like, wow, I don't gotta do the show. I
I got a break.
I get to go to New Mexico.
It was good being at camp too.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, with your one soldier.
oh no. Here in
Okay.
here.
All right. Okay.
He said, "Oh no."
He said, no.
but New Mexico was good too.
Oh, that's right. You did a good camp. Let me sandwich that. Let me give him the negative, the positive, and then some negative. You did a really. You taught very well.
I'll praise-
Like it was your own thing, but you taught wisely. In your way. So
I'll
it
praise the
was
Most
good.
High.
Might not be appropriate for all settings,
Right.
but you did good. You did good. But you sucked with this because you should have put on. See, that's called the sandwich. I learned that in corporate America, right? So you give them the constructive, then some positive, and then some constructive, right?
A sandwich.
You give 'em
Let the
sandwich.
righteous smite me.
Yeah. Oh, hey,
Jeez.
he's a
Jeez.
point. So, what's news? What's news? Let me pull this up. I'm sorry. I gotta
Pull it up.
I gotta pull it up. Hold on. Damn, it sent it in two. Let me do this one. So this article was posted and it got me thinking about this. I'm gonna read it from two sources so you see it's like, oh gosh, that's the other thing in the show. They were saying fake news spreads 6 times faster than real news.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, for sure.
So they were like,
It's the sheeple.
bro, it's gonna be a good and that's why I want to kind of do it for the show, even if I do a class on it, because I think it'll be a good dialogue for us to have about that stuff. So
Yeah, they manipulate. That's the marketing company for the freaking elites, man.
basically, right?
For the Chaldeans.
So I saw this in the news, and I think a while back we were talking about how you're seeing a modern iteration of Deuteronomy 28 in them detaining the Issachar children at the border, and they're separating them from their parents. And notice that died down because the mainstream media don't want to talk about it. Even alternative media is not really talking about it anymore.
No, they're not.
So in some way, this is why I say it's like alternative. You got to be able to sift this thing. Like if you don't have the Bible as your foundation and you go through this stuff,
Right.
you'll turn into one of those like David Icke guys or something like that. So it's not for everybody to go to alternative media. Like not every mind is suited for that.
Just to show you though, Cap.
Wait, let me finish that one statement because in some respect, the mass media drives what alternative media reports on. So even though they might be reporting things that the mass media is not, they still go with the cycle of topics that the mass media is putting out.
So real quick, remember how we talked about Drudge Report,
Right.
right? So the right is complaining that they're more left, but a guy brought up a good point about that, and this is all leading to what you're saying. He's a business owner. He's gonna go with the topics that are gonna go ahead and raise attention.
And you know what that goes with? Give me that scripture where it says, "Be wary who you seek counsel of" in the Apocrypha. Like you don't go to a man of war for a coward for war advice and all that. Get me that, because I'm gonna make a point here. You have to understand the motivation of the outlet you're getting your information from.
That's exactly right.
And at the end of the day, nobody, not even these alternative media guys, are not doing this so that they don't get views or at some point get money, right? Because
It's a business.
Because you tell me, I don't watch as many of them as maybe you do, but almost all of them have ads, right?
All of them.
Right. So it becomes business driven for them. So whenever there's an ulterior motive,
Ulterior motive. There you go.
right? This way, so you got to
There you
understand
go.
what their motivation
There
is.
you go.
Whenever there's an ulterior motive, you have to question the source of information. And this is why our counsel paramountly has to be from the Bible. And this
right.
is why we'll use these media sources. But now we got to bring this objection to what the scripture says so you can understand what our motivation is in bringing that information out.
100%.
All right, so read that.
The book of Sirach, chapter 37, verse 8. Beware of a counselor and know before what need he hath.
Right, so this is exactly what I'm saying, because guess what? The news is your counselor, right? Oh, what's news? Let me go on. Even if you use those alternative media sources, right? So like Captain Aparim just said, the Drudge Report, some of the people who basically made it what it was, right, are started saying, you're leaning, to the other side now. And then when you think about it, he made a good point. Well, at the end of the day, the guy wants to make money.
That's what's driven him. Like you put up,
He didn't just do it for because maybe
he started out that way.
Maybe you started out that way. That's why we say like people get in politics, right? Maybe they start out with the best of intentions,
Right.
but then you got to realize you got to play the game and you got to play the status quo, right?
Yep.
Hey, I was watching a movie last night, a series that I've been watching on Netflix called Kingdom, right? So it's like a zombie Asian usurp the throne hybrid, right? So it's actually pretty good, right? It's pretty good. It's dubbed pretty good, so it's not like really bad. Anyway, outside of a lot of elements in it, right? They always focus, and this is what I like about Moab may be a washpot, but I got to tell you something. In these days, the way we are with our disloyalty to each other, with the way that we treat each other like crap, they're better than us in that, because you watch their movies, you watch our movies, and it's all about let me stab the brother in the back, betrayal, this and that.
Right.
Their thing is about honor. Not to say they don't show betrayal, but because there was betrayal in this, but I'm going to show you how. And it makes me think of this too. There was a prince, right? And there's a ruling power that don't want the prince to be in power, right? So there's a whole plot going on there in the background with the zombies, right? So anyway, this prince, the crown prince, he has a guard, right? And it's his one guard, and he's tight. Like, he's sworn to fealty to him, and they have a strong relationship. When he was poor and studying to be in the guard, the crown prince would hook him up with food for his wife. There's a famine in the land. So he has this level of loyalty towards the prince, like, and he looks out for him, and he's bad. He's skilled with the sword and everything. So you're like, damn, that dude is holding down for him. So, it's one of those where every time he's in danger, like, damn, nah, don't kill him. Don't kill him. Like, you want him to live because you see how he looks out for the crown prince. Anyway, turns out there's a twist. He winds up betraying him. And his motivation was because they leveraged his wife and his kid over him. And so you kind of say, well, damn, his father, he betrayed him, but damn, like, I kind of understand where he's coming from, right? I say all this to say, he started off with good intentions, right? But now everybody has a price. Everybody has a price.
Everybody does have a price.
You just don't know what your price is yet.
Everybody has a price.
You don't know what your price is yet. That goes for anybody.
That went over a lot of people's heads, I'm sure. They're like, no, wait. Trust me.
I know, because they hear me narrating the thing,
Right.
and like, well, so what's the point? Everybody has a price. You're not going to know till that price is
I'm going to
presented
prove it
to
right
you
now
on that day.
with the scriptures.
Right.
Judas had a price.
Judas had a price.
He had healing powers.
Mhm.
He rode with Christ.
Saw everything. Saw what this man was doing.
Right? Parables. And he had a price. And you know what? His price was couple shekels. Goes to show you everybody has a price, though, right?
Yeah.
His loyalty to Christ was very little, is what that tells you when you look at it spiritually. What, 30 shekels? That's nothing. That was nothing back then. And think about that.
Hey, that's why loyalty is so important. It's a very, and that's why, going back to Moab, you see a lot of that in their ceremony and the respect they have for their leaders. You even in the husband-wife relationship and just everything, bro. Everything, the way they roll. It's always nice to see that, because and when you think about it, guess where they got that from? Remember, Lot, who is the progenitor of those races, was related to Abraham. So that honor was kind of there. And remember, Lot was treated with regard by the Most High at that time. It was, not the same, but he had regard unto him.
He was following the law, statutes, and commandments. And
yes.
That's why he was saved from
even
from
though the
Sodom.
promise was not, even though the promise was not in his seed. The point is, the progenitor of them had honor. So that's where that still comes. And I'm not saying they're not individuals that are backstabbers and whatever and things like that, but they operate with, even amongst their criminality, like with the Yakuza and stuff, they operate with a sense of honor and stuff like that. Well, thieves are more honorable than we are with each other
The
sometimes.
mafia.
Bring it out.
No women and children.
Right.
Back then.
Right. Yeah, back then. I know. Millennials took it over and it's something else now. Right. But anyway, read this scripture. Let's get back to the scripture. So beware of where you get your information from or your counsel. Come on.
For he will counsel for himself, lest he cast the law upon thee.
Right, because he's going to counsel for himself, meaning for his motivation. With the example I gave in the show, every move that he was making with the crown prince was to ensure the safety of his wife and child, right? Even if that meant betraying him. And mind you, he took an oath that he would basically die for this guy, but he wound up actually leading him into perils, right? Go ahead.
And say unto thee, thy way is good. And afterward, he stand on the other side to see what shall befall thee.
Right. So this is why I say you got to be careful, whether it's mainstream media, alternative media, if it's individual counsel that you get, you have to be able to look at all this information through the lens of the scriptures.
And you know what's the point about that also, Cap? At the end of the day, they could say all they want, but the Most High is the one who rules everything. So it could say this is going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
You always got to have that caveat. But the Most High could say, nah, you know what? I changed my mind. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
With everything. Guess what? With the just not to digress, but the vaccines. Most High could say, you know what? We're not going to need vaccines.
Yeah.
He could put it in their spirit to say that. So
I know,
nothing's written in
Trump
stone.
said it's gonna disappear like a miracle. Right?
I'm just saying, he runs everything. He's the puppet master.
Right.
Regardless of what you're reading.
Right.
That's what we
And
need to understand.
That happens, then they're really going to think that he's the Messiah then.
Oh gosh.
Oh, don't get me
Yeah.
started on that
Go
one.
ahead, finish that up.
Consult not with one that suspected thee, and hide counsel from such as envy thee.
Right? So it says, consult not with one has suspected thee, meaning he kind of knows what you're looking for, so he's going to give you the advice to manipulate you, right? What? Read the second part of that again.
And hide thy counsel from such as envy thee.
And hide thy counsel from such as envy thee. Don't go and so if you can kind of see signs of envy, right? And you don't want to surmise if you don't have proof. But basically it says, hey, sometimes it's okay to hold certain pieces of information back, especially if you suspect that somebody envies you, because it might put spirits on them, right? And then they're not going to give you good counsel, right? Like that's kind of like the, I'll give you this example, right? In the world. The ex-girlfriend, right? Or the girlfriend that you were having issues with, and she got the friend that's always single, can't keep a man or whatever, and she goes to her for advice, and then she's the one be like, yeah, man, you don't need that. You don't need that Negro. You don't just cut him off or whatever, because she's miserable as hell.
When you read in Paul's letters and he goes to the different...
So she envies what you have. I'm sorry. She envies your relationship because she can't have one. So what is she going to do? She's going to counsel you to destroy your relationship.
And that happens.
Yep.
When
That's why I use that example.
When Paul talks about the different spirits, right? The different gifts that the Most High gives you, one of them is counsel. Not everybody in this walk is going to be a good counselor.
Right. Not everybody could do that. Go ahead.
Verse 11, neither consult with a man touching her.
No, that's not what it says. Read it again.
Neither consult with a woman, with a woman touching her of whom she is jealous. Neither with a coward in matters of war, or with a merchant concerning exchange, nor with the buyer of selling, nor with an envious man of thankfulness, nor with the unmerciful man touching kindness, nor with the slothful for any work.
Right. Go
That's
ahead.
heavy.
Hey, that is heavy.
That is freaking
That
heavy.
is
everything
heavy.
we read there.
Yeah, that's heavy. So I want to bring it back to read this article, but to say, yes, at the end of the day, you got to be careful with this. Hey, and that's why the scripture told you that when a matter needed to be established, it had to be before 2 or 3 witnesses.
Right.
And that's why a lot of times they would still try to circumvent that with the evil in their heart, because they would get people to conspire together to 2 or 3 witnesses. Like when they try to bear false witness against Paul, when they try to bear false witness against Christ, right? And then you got to question the matter. So the same way, and when media is presented to you, you should look at it with scrutiny. You should look at it and say, hey, how does this line up with what the scripture's saying, what's going on?
Right.
And then at the end of the day, guess what? Even with all that, like Captain Apartment just said, Most High could change any of that like that. Make you think that they got all the inside track. Hey, or like I like to
He
say,
can Thanos it.
or like I like to say,
Thanos.
if the media got a hold of it, whether it's mass or alternative, is probably not the full thing
Right,
or exactly where they want to go.
100%.
Yeah.
They always say that.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we know, then they're already 10 steps ahead of us.
Hey, they do a diligent search. They're playing chess on a level that
Dude,
we're not ready for.
I'm telling you, man, you're right.
The only
You're
one
right.
that they can't out chess is the Most
It's
High.
the Most High God,
Bring it
man.
out.
Right.
That's true.
Yep. So it says, let's check this out. So we got Vice News. And speaking of those curses in Deuteronomy 28, right? Speaking of the title, right? Let's deal wisely with them. This is what's happening in those detention
This
centers.
thing pissed me off reading this.
Staggering number of hysterectomies happening at ICE facilities, whistleblower says. And now let me tell you something, because before we even get to that, they're going to try to make it seem like they got Hungarians in these ICE facilities. They
Right.
got Arabs in these ICE facilities and things like that. We know who they're talking about when they talk about immigrants. Trump even said it. How come we can't get the ones from good countries instead of shitty countries?
Yep.
And a shitty country to him is basically Africans,
Puerto
is
Rico.
Mexicans, Puerto Rico. Oh,
He just said it.
Hey, why did he just finally release and give extra aid to Puerto Rico?
45 days away from election.
Because he wants their votes.
Meanwhile, he wanted to switch Green. He told one of the guys, "Why can't we switch Greenland for Puerto Rico?
That's
right.
Puerto Ricans are dirty, and it's dirty. It's poor over there." That's what he said.
Politics. Right. You know, since his racism is not overt, people try to say he's not a racist. Show me how he's racist. Bro, he it's the worst kind of racism that he has. It's that subtle
It said-
Jim Crow, Black codes type of
It
racism.
says, show me how he's racist. Easy. Go to YouTube, type in Donald Trump, and hit play on any video.
And that's it.
On every
And that's
video.
it.
And
No,
that's it.
they want him to be up there saying F nigga this, spick that.
Yeah.
And
Nah.
that
Nah. His writers don't allow him to do that.
No.
And the teleprompters.
no. And he's smart enough to at least not do that. I know you're saying that because he's trying to say Biden did the prompt. Anyway, so it's a staggering number of hysterectomies happening at the ICE facility, a whistleblower says. We've questioned among ourselves, like goodness, he's taking everybody's stuff out, said a former nurse at the facility. That's his specialty. He's the uterus collector.
Oh my God.
Man, that thing made hair stand up on my arms. This is 2020. This was updated on September 15th, this article. All right. This is a whistleblower complaint filed Monday by several legal advocacy groups, accuses a detention center, of performing a staggering number of hysterectomies on immigrant women. And by immigrant, they're talking about these Mexican women, these Issachar women, right? Yep. As well as failing to follow procedures meant to keep both detainees and employees safe from the coronavirus. This is the same stuff that they did. They did this in Puerto Rico when they took over, a little over 100 years ago.
In the Flame of Resistance.
Yep. Also in War Against All Puerto Ricans, there's a whole section on there on the hysterectomies and things like that. They did this in their influence with the School of the Americas down in Central and South America. You read about it in Harvest of Empire. And a lot of times, right, and this is where get the deal wisely scripture. And then I also want the part where they talk about taskmasters. A lot of times they'll frame these stories where, since they weren't the actual ones executing it, so that they can say back, well, it was your own people that did it to you. Well, again, going back to everybody's price, everybody got a price. And if you name that price, they're going to do what they're going to do. Some people have enough morals that the price is going to be maybe not money and stuff like Judas, but a threatening of what's most dear to you. And if that's your family, that's your children, whatever it is.
Well, the Pharisees had a price, right?
That's held over your head.
They didn't want to lose their seat. That was their price.
They didn't want to lose it, right.
So they betrayed Christ.
So some are very immoral, like they don't have a standard of morals. So, you know, something as simple as losing their seat or giving them money. And others, they won't do it except that you threaten something, right? And you see it all the time in like movies and everything. That's the thing. Okay, the good guy does it, but only because they held his family over his head. And, you know, we're going to hold them hostage or, you know, hey, now we know where you live. We got pictures of your kids. You don't do what we want. We're going to take them out.
Hey, you see it all the time with people here in this truth that are trimming their ways to take jobs that work the Sabbath.
Oh, that's at a low level.
Yeah, you know, that's what I'm saying.
So
exactly.
imagine.
So imagine something on that
That's
level.
a great point.
Yep, exactly.
That's a very good point.
So the point is that this is all a cycle of this type of stuff. So go ahead, read this.
The book of Exodus, chapter 1.
And it's not even as far back as what I'm talking about with Central South America and with Puerto Rico. This goes back all the way to the time of Exodus. Come on.
I'm going to start at verse 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly. And
like we do. That's what we do. We don't die, we multiply. Right? We are fruitful and we increase abundantly. You take all the 12 tribes together and we make up the majority of the population of the world. Come on.
And multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty.
Why? Because we are. We are blessed people. When we get ourselves together and we keep God's commandment, there is nothing that can stop us. So we exceed mighty. Come on.
And the land was filled with them. Now there rose
kind of like, oh, there's so many Mexicans here. The land was filled with them. Come on.
Yeah.
Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
This is why they deal with us the way they do. From the smallest thing where they would have one guy over 100 slaves in the plantation to now when by and large collectively we outnumber them, right? They're going to tell you India and China have the world's largest populations. Those are one country. Remember, the 12 tribes are scattered everywhere. Nice. If you take the population of Central South America, those of us who are scattered here in the United States, the Caribbean, in Europe, and the world over, we outnumber all those nations.
And you know what? The scripture says it.
Yes. Come on.
Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply.
Let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. Come on.
And it come to pass that when there falleth any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them out of the land.
Right.
Out of the land.
Right. So one of the ways that they did this was with sterilization. Get the part where he said that the midwives, all right, and then go back to the part where it says set up taskmasters of their own people.
Start at 15.
Right.
Exodus chapter 1, verse 15. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Sifra, and the name of the other Pua. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Right, because they've totally fine with sleeping with our women and using them for other uses, but they said no, you're gonna kill the men. And why did they say kill the men? Because at that time, right, that we know of, they were not doing things like hysterectomies, and you couldn't survive something like that.
Right.
So this was their version of Planned Parenthood in the Exodus. All right.
Eugenics.
This is the eugenics from then. This is the same thing we're going to read about as we continue this article in a moment. So they said, listen, if it's a man child, boom, let's just get rid of it. It's a woman, we keep it because we have uses for the women. Right. So that's the birth of Planned Parenthood back then.
And they also know, Cap, that according to the scriptures that they knew, especially back then, okay, and the elites definitely know now that the seed comes from the heritage comes from the man. Number one.
Yeah, that's another validation.
Okay? And that the man is the main centerpiece in a house.
Right. And they do that in more crafty ways today by just taking the man. So maybe they don't kill us now, but they take the man out the picture, right? They proliferate that it's cool and it's great to not be married and be the gigolo and the playboy and, just be around and not be responsible for your children and things like and in essence, you get the same type of effect, right? So go ahead, read.
But the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive.
Right. So, and that's by the grace of God that he put the spirit of courage on them to not be fearful, not the spirit of fear. And they went against that. Right. Jump to the part with taskmasters. So that's an example of people that'll stand up for that. They didn't have a price that was presented to them. Right. Everybody has a price, but their price was not presented to them. Right. Now read the part about taskmasters of their own people over them.
Verse 11, Exodus chapter 1, verse 11. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom, and Ramses.
Right? So the taskmasters were of our own people. They set up taskmasters of our own people over us. And how did they do that? Because they had a price. So going back to my point where some of these you might say, well, gosh, why are these doctors doing that and whatever? Historically, what now? So because somebody said, well, look, it's Hispanic doctors, it's black doctors that are doing it too. Everybody has a price. Everybody has a hey, and sometimes the price could just be that their mind is eaten up and they agree with all the propaganda and rhetoric. Right? Who knows the depths of your heart except the Most High? And when he wants to utilize you for whatever it is, because at the end of the day, all this stuff, no matter how atrocious, is of the Lord. All right, he gonna pull them strings. He gonna pull them strings. It says he tries the reins of your heart, so he gonna move them. What are the reins for? To slow it down, to steer the animal, and so he's gonna go ahead and direct those paths. And there's different ways that he does it. So now back to the article. It says a whistleblower complaint filed Monday by several legal advocacy groups accuses a detention center of performing a staggering number of hysterectomies on immigrant women, as well as failing to follow procedures meant to keep both detainees and employees safe from the coronavirus. The complaint, filed on behalf of several detained immigrants and a nurse named Dawn Wooten, details several accounts of recent jarring medical neglect at the Irwin County Detention Center in Osceola, Georgia, which is run by the private prison company LaSalle South Corrections. So they have privatized. Let me just tell you, that right there shows you how dark. Remember the 13th on Netflix about the 13th Amendment and all that? And the school to prison pipeline? This whole thing is I'm telling you, it's like some deep seditious stuff, the way they roll. So it says, LaSalle South Corrections and houses people incarcerated by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE. In interviews with Project South, a Georgia nonprofit, multiple women said the hysterectomies were stunningly frequent among immigrants detained at the facility. When I met all these women who had surgeries, I thought this was like an experimental concentration camp, said one woman, who said she'd met 5 women who had hysterectomies after being detained between October and December 2019. So it's on record that they treat them like shit. They barely get good conditions.
Yeah.
So this hysterectomy is not done out of the kindness of their heart because they have some, because sometimes it's medically necessary, they tell you, right? Like maybe there's some all types of cancer going on in there and the only way is to scoop it all out, right? Says them. So they're going to do a hysterectomy out of the kindness of their heart? What is their complaint? That people come here and they have their kids here and then their kids are granted citizenship. Trump not too long ago was saying, hey, I think I'd like to do away with that. Well, you're not a naturalized citizen by being born here. So it says, the women said that immigrants at Irwin are often sent to see one particular gynecologist outside of the facility. It was like they're experimenting with their bodies. This is the year 2020. I'm not talking about
60s,
60s, 70s. I'm not talking about 200 years ago. All right. This is the year 2020. In one case, Wooten said a woman who ended up with a hysterectomy was not properly anesthetized and overheard the doctor say that he'd taken out the wrong ovary.
Look at this.
That woman had to go back and get her other ovary removed as well. We have questioned among ourselves, like, goodness, he's taking everybody's stuff out, said Wooten, who was a full-time employee at Irwin until July. That's his specialty. He's the uterus collector. I know that's ugly. Is he collecting these things or something? She continued. Everybody he sees, he's taking all their uteruses out, or he's taking their tubes out. What in the world? Wooten also said she talked to several detained immigrants who'd had hysterectomies but didn't know why. One detained immigrant told Project South that ahead of the scheduled procedure, she was given multiple different explanations about what would happen and why it was necessary. So they kept changing the story. Kind of like when Trump speaks.
Yep.
And then the first one comes out, oh, that don't sound good. Oh, let me correct it. Let me correct it. While ICE reported in August that 41 immigrants at Irwin have tested positive for COVID-19, Wooten believes that the true number may be much higher, according to the complaint. Women housed in multiple units in the facility allegedly exhibited COVID-19 symptoms, but were not tested for the virus for weeks. Immigrants have also allegedly continued to be transferred in and out of the facility against guidelines by the Centers for Disease Control and the advice of Irwin's own medical director. The complaint also alleges that both the detained immigrants and staffers at Irwin lack the personal protective equipment they need to stay safe during the coronavirus pandemic. People in both groups have only received one mask each since the pandemic broke out. It is also impossible to socially distance within the facility, according to the complaint. So they'll let convicted criminals out to prevent them from getting COVID, but they're not gonna let the immigrants out. They're gonna keep them in there and take their reproductive organs out. There was no way to protect against COVID-19 at all here in the facility, one immigrant said. We share everything together. There's no way at all we can feel protected here in the facility. And so basically, these are concentration camps that they're keeping them in.
That's exactly
Hey,
what
hey,
they
hey.
are. They're cages.
You know how this is such BS too? Because I was just reading an article. I actually meant to post it up where it was saying that women from Russia, pregnant women from Russia, are at an all-time high of coming to America just so their kids can be born here and become
Wow.
citizens. But you don't hear nothing about
No.
that.
They're not giving them hysterectomies and detaining them in
Nope.
cages. One woman says she had to clean her cell using shampoo because staffers wouldn't give her any cleaning chemicals. She recalled seeing another woman use her socks to do the same. Because let me tell you, that's one thing about Northern Kingdom, but for the most part, you might find some exceptions. Very cleanly.
Yep.
Right? Like hygienic and all that stuff like that. So they're in there and that thing is probably vexing their spirit that is so decrepit. It says, if it wasn't for my faith in God, I think I would have gone insane and just break down and probably gone as far as hurting myself, the woman said. There are a lot of people here who end up in medical trying to kill themselves because of how crazy it is. So it's so jacked up that they don't even want to. They came here to escape unrest that was in their country, because that's why you had these mass caravans going on, that the root cause, I don't care what it's like recently, the root cause of that was the United States involvement in there via the School of the Americas.
That's right.
And now they're like, listen, I just want to die the way they're treating me here.
Let's go further back. They should have never been in these other countries trying to come back here because this was our land.
That's right. That's right.
How about that? How about these freaking people did the same thing, these Europeans, that Trump is saying that we're doing?
Yep.
So let's look at the whole freaking route.
Some men at the facility even went on a hunger strike, demanding to be released or to have better protections against the coronavirus, according to the complaint. But nothing changed. Meanwhile, employees are also expected to work even if they have COVID-19 symptoms and are awaiting their test results. Let me move down a little bit. Talking about the pandemic. Let me see what they got to say about the other. So they made the complaints, right? Okay, so besides Project South, the advocacy groups, Georgia Detention Watch, Georgia Latino Alliance for Human Rights. So that's how you know it's Latinos. They're not talking about Russian
Right.
immigrants in
But
there.
you see how
right?
they stuffed
Yep.
it in there, right?
Yep.
They stuffed it in there as an
Yep.
afterthought.
Let me tell you, that whole mindset that they're doing where they're like, the race is irrelevant, it's to benefit them. Don't let that fool you that they don't want to mention your race because they say it shouldn't matter. We're all human beings.
Yeah, right.
That's the same reason they want Christ to not be from any tribe.
Right.
So that they can say that there's no lineage, there's no 12 tribes, there's nothing. They want to say it's just people. They don't want the tribes to exist because then it makes it harder for the doctrine to exist because anybody could be the 12 tribes.
That's why they've continued to change our titles throughout the years.
Yes, that's another reason, right? That's Deuteronomy 28:37.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons they made us proverbs and bywords. Read that real quick because that's a different understanding
Right,
on
because the Southern Kingdom went from niggas, Negroes, colored, blacks, African Americans, and who knows what they're called now. I couldn't get Hispanics, wetbacks, spics, Latinos,
that.
right? Latinos, Hispanics, slaves that Jews that spoke Spanish,
Latinos. Then that word
Latinos.
went away and Hispanic was popular.
right? Hispanic.
Then they
came
went to
out.
Latinos.
I brought that out in 1983. That was brought out. Okay.
Then they went to Latinos and now Latinx.
Right.
Because now you can't even have the gender in there. Got to be Latinx. Latinx. Because that's what the X stands for. They were offended that you were Latino and that is masculine. That's a trait of the language. Latino is a Spanish word. O is masculine. It defaults to masculine, just like there's some words that default to feminine. Like mesa, right? Ends in an A, so it's feminine. So they were offended by the O,
But it's
and
not
now
like,
got to be Latinx.
But it's not like there was not Latinas as well.
There was.
There was.
So it tells you that it's all BS.
Well, it's and
feminist.
our people have eaten it up. They're the ones that pushed for it based on this, the same way that Planned Parenthood, they ate it up.
Well, unfortunately, AOC has ran with that.
Yes, she's done with that too.
That's why I posted that thing on my Facebook that said, "Hey, listen, for all you racist Hispanics out there, white people hate you too."
Right.
I like. I keep
and
sharing that thing.
And like
Right.
this thing proves it right here.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's a good one.
Go ahead, read that.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
The astonishment has a lot to do with the astonishment of the stupid things that we go for, like Latinx and all this other nonsense, this transgender support, this homosexuality.
Vote or die.
You're right, vote or die. The proverb and the byword, right? It's not just being called Latino, Hispanic, whatever. It's also having the names outside of your name, right? Those last names like Gonzalez, Ruiz, right? Dominguez, all that stuff that come from conquistadors, right? But also look at it. There's a reason behind that. Because they want all one pool. They want all one people to say that we don't know who the tribes are. So if you don't have that history to hold on to and track back to, that's what motivated iconoclasm. Get it in Maccabees where they sought to paint the likeness of their images.
That's Psalms 83 at its best. The hidden ones. They want us to remain hidden.
Right. So how
they'll
did they hide
continue to
us?
change our names.
There's too many of us for them to lock us away. We're too useful to them in other ways. So how did they hide you? By making you a proverb and a byword. By this whole agenda of this inclusivity.
That's why Jose said, in the land where they say you're not my people, that's where you shall know that you are the people. That's
Yep.
paraphrased. That's
Yep.
why he had to say that.
Yep. Go ahead, read that.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the...
Heathen means the other nations outside of Israel, right? So if I was Greek, I wouldn't call the other nations heathen, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So meaning that word heathen only pertains from the reference point of Israelites. So anything outside of an Israelite is a heathen, any other nation. So it says all these other nations, and this time it was the Greeks, all these other nations sought to do what?
Wherein the heathen sought to paint the likeness of their images.
They went and because that means in our scrolls and in our stuff, we had images. In the temples, you read about it, right? It was the similitude of what's in the heavens. We had images. We had those type of things. This is why also when you read in Deuteronomy 4, it says that God didn't appear to Moses in any type of similitude because then we would make those images, meaning he could have appeared in any of those things. So he tried to appear formless when he appeared in the bush, and it was a burning bush, right? Now, I know somebody could just make an effigy of a burning bush, but the point was he kept it as a moving type of thing so nobody... Because if he would have appeared and just spoke from the bush, guess what we would have done? We would have made bushes and
absolutely.
worshiped the bushes.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, when he was up there talking to the real savior, they were making stuff up.
Right.
Well, that was-
Right. Hey, let me tell you how strong that spirit was. When the disciples went up and they saw Christ transfigured with Elijah and Moses, they said, "Oh, let's make you a
They
tabernacle
did
here."
say that.
Yeah.
They wanted to make a thing for Elijah and Moses to start worshiping. So, right?
Yeah, our people are simple,
So
boy.
the point is we had images. And when you go back to this Deuteronomy 28:37, the motivation behind them doing that stuff and the iconoclasm and everything else was to keep us hidden. It's dealing wisely. So they do it through sterilization. They do it through changing our identity. They do it by inclusivity.
They do it by democracy.
They do it by killing us. They do it by breaking that. They do it by democracy. All these other things. We've read that over and over in First Maccabees. That's one of my favorites that we bring out, where it says, and that all should be one people.
That's right.
And what does he tell you at the end of that? To the end that they should forget the law.
And that's the whole meaning. That was the whole purpose
To
of
the
it.
end that they should forget the law. The rationale behind all these actions is that they want us to forget who we are.
Right. And if you forget the law, you forget your identity and your culture, because the law, statutes, and commandments were only for the blacks, Hispanic, Native Americans who are the Israelites. That's the whole plot.
Yeah, it tells you in Sirach 17:11 that our heritage is the commandments.
Right.
So you would discontinue from your heritage because you forget the laws.
Right. So it says, besides Project South, the advocacy groups Georgia Detention Watch, Georgia Latino Alliance for Human Rights, I'm sure they're going to change that to Latinx Alliance for Human Rights at some point, and South Georgia Immigrant Support Network helped file a complaint with the Department of Homeland Security's Office of the Inspector General. Law and Crime published a complaint after The Intercept covered some of the allegations inside it. LaSalle Corrections didn't immediately respond to a Vice News request for comment because they're trying to get their spin together. In the past, the Irwin County Detention Center has repeatedly been found to be in compliance with ICE's detention standards. But what are those standards? Right? You have your published standards, and then you have the standards of the Chaldeans and the powers that be. In a statement, ICE said it does not comment on matters handled by the Office of the Inspector General. ICE takes all allegations seriously and defers to the OIG regarding any potential. So they passed the buck, investigation and results. That said, in general, anonymous, unproven allegations made without any fact-checkable specifics should be treated with the appropriate skepticism they deserve. That's some
Yep.
that's some smooth as butter words
Yep.
right there. Freaking liars, full of shit. I'm sorry. Oh my
true.
goodness. Let me see if there's anything different in this next article, the Yahoo Life one. An ICE nurse revealed that a Georgia detention center is performing mass hysterectomies. On Monday, a nurse at a private immigration detention center in Georgia came forward about a range of dangerous medical practices at a U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement facility. According to her, the center has not only ignored COVID-19 protocols, but is actively performing mass hysterectomies on detained people, meaning actively. The key word is actively. So you got to be able to read these things. They didn't perform. It's not performed past tense. That means this stuff is still going on, and it will continue to go on.
That's right.
The whistleblower, that's Dawn Wooten, we read about her, worked at the Irwin County Detention Center, which is operated by LaSalle Corrections, where she allegedly witnessed the company's refusal to test detainees for COVID-19, as well as spoke to several people who each had their uterus removed as part of an unwarranted hysterectomy procedure.
Unwarranted.
Unwarranted.
Meaning they had no medical condition to what, which is typically cancer, right?
Yep.
You have ovarian cancer.
Yep.
That's when you get hysterectomies,
Yep.
right? If I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's when you do it.
So
When
that means they didn't have any medical problems.
Unwarranted.
They just did it exactly like they've been doing for years.
Yep. And you see how you got to read multiple articles because
Yep.
as crafty as they
Yep.
try to be,
Yep.
their editors try to be crafty in their wording. See, the common Negro, well, they'll read this and they'll just glaze over it.
Common
They're
Negro
not
don't even read this.
The
I was
common
gonna say
Negro's
the
not even
same
paying
thing.
attention to this.
Right.
They're paying attention to Lakers Nuggets.
Yep.
That's what they're paying attention to.
Oh, that's what's in it right now?
Yeah, I saw it at the gym the other day. I don't really know.
No, I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm not
Right.
following
I
none
was
of that crap.
in between doing dips. I looked up at the screen
Nah,
watching the
I know,
time.
I know
and
how
then-
that goes.
He
And it was there.
doing
Sometimes I get it.
because they throw Sports Center all over the place
you
or
get an
whatever.
alert, you're like-
Yeah, I saw Max Hellerman.
Hellerman. Nice.
Yes, Synagogue of Satan, Hellerman.
Right.
You like, see what I did there?
That was good.
Bars.
That was
I got to write.
That was that was unwarranted.
That was According to the official complaint lodged with the Office of the Inspector General for the Department of Homeland Security, Wooten said that the facility was performing hysterectomies on people who reported having heavy menstrual cycles or other more serious pain, but that everyone's uterus cannot be that bad. Of course they're having heavy menstrual cycles and they're in pain. The stress that they're under in a concentration camp.
Yeah, for
Who
real.
knows what they're feeding them to cause that?
Right.
How about that?
There's a multitude of factors in there that'll jack you up. I mean, I ain't a woman, but I've heard from women. Sometimes if you stressed out and stuff like that, your whole period is all jacked
You're
up.
not a Latina?
I'm not a Latina. She says, everybody's uterus cannot be that bad. I've had several inmates tell me that they've been to see the doctor and they have hysterectomies and don't know why they went or where or why they were going. She also noted that ICDC consistently uses an out-of-facility doctor who is responsible for the hysterectomies in addition to accidentally removing the wrong ovary in one patient.
No, he's the one that had a price.
Right.
That's
right.
what. He's the one that would say, yeah, I'll do it.
He's the uterus
I had no
collector.
conscience.
Everybody he sees has a hysterectomy. She said everybody. Everybody they send to that guy has.
And you know what, Cap? They don't even speak English. So you know they're probably telling them in English. Maybe they'll have a translator there telling them bullcrap. They don't even know what's going on.
Everybody he sees has a hysterectomy, just about everybody. He's even taken out the wrong ovary on a young lady, a detained immigrant woman, Wooten said. She was supposed to get her left ovary removed because it had a cyst on the left ovary. He took out the right one.
And you don't even got to take them out. There's things you can do to those cysts could go away.
The complaint was filed on the behalf. They love cutting us up. They love it. It's great that we have the understanding that we have. I'm not saying we were the only victims of this, but the reason they know so much about the human body and all this stuff is because of their experiments on our people in the different captivities.
Yeah, they have an infatuation with it. That's why they have movies like Hostel and things like that to show it. What is it? What do they say? Art imitating life, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It shows the depths of them.
Yep.
They're evil as hell, man.
Absolutely. The complaint was filed on behalf of Wooten by advocacy groups Project South, Georgia Detention Watch, Georgia Latino Alliance for Human Rights, and South Georgia Immigrant Support Network. In their report, Wooten details other malpractices at the facility, including lack of COVID-19 testing for symptomatic patients, as well as a general lack of reporting cases. The complaint also explains why she decided to come forward publicly. Wooten had been reprimanded and demoted by ICDC when she spoke up about the poor practices at the detention center.
So you need to know right there.
Well, but at least at least she had a spine, and it don't matter to me in this. I mean, I pray it was a Jake sister that saw something, but even if it was Edom, it's the Most High that puts that on the spirits to bring stuff forward.
Right.
You put two and two together, she said. I'm asking for these things and speaking for these detainees. I'm a problem. I'm being seen, and I'm not supposed to be seen or heard. It makes you look like you're not doing your job.
So she's a problem.
This isn't the first time the United States has forced people, especially people of color. So there it is again.
Right.
That we know that it's not Russians and Irish men and immigrating
that
in
was
there.
stuffed in there.
See how they put
right
that in
after the
there?
hyphen. That means it's telling you what they really talking
Right,
about.
because it says this isn't the first time, and then especially people
wait.
of color.
The United States. Let's not yet.
Yes.
It's the first time the United people vote or die.
That's why
Arguing about a freaking Trump and a freaking Biden. Two morons, two idiots that have no control over nothing.
puppets.
Bases of men, the scripture says, are put over us. And this is what you need to be worrying about.
They talk so much crap about religion and Christianity and Christians and outside of the fact that all those denominations are BS, they have this thing against religion anyway, but they are more dogmatic and they are more ridiculous about their politics, which is their religion. Right? They won't see it as a religion, but they treat it like religion.
Yeah, they do.
Just like you have Catholics that revere the Pope, you have the ones that revere Trump, you have the ones that revere
Yep.
Biden.
It's a religion.
Bro, it's I've seen it. I've seen it take hold of my mom. What is hey, listen, y'all may say that this is disrespectful, but I'm gonna say it like it is. What's the spick of my mom? Because she's she that's what they call her, right? Trump would call her a spick, right? A wetback, because my mom's from Puerto Rico, right? What's my mom doing supporting Trump? Who could not give two shits about her or her people?
Crickets.
That's the power of that religious thing. She treats him like she treats the Pope, because she's also hardcore Catholic, even though she hasn't been to the church in what, probably 50 years?
When she got married.
When she got married, that was it.
Not when we
That's
did
it.
confirmation or some crap.
No, probably when Jen's kids got baptized.
Oh, okay.
That's the last time she's been in a church.
16, 17 years ago?
Yeah, probably.
There's my wife commented, says the whistleblower was a Jake.
Oh,
She was
all
a black
praises.
nurse.
All praises. It was Jake. She saw it and she said, we got to do something about it. So it says, so this isn't the first time the United States has forced people, especially people of color, into unwanted sterilization, which is a human rights violation and a form of eugenics. Eugenics.
There it is.
According to the
Boom.
World Health Organization. For more than 70 years, California led the country in sterilizations. During that time, about 200,000 people were sterilized against their will in state
Against their will.
institutions. This is modern times.
Where were they? In the South?
In the South, black women were treated as practice for incoming medical students
Jeremiah 50:33, boy.
and had been sterilized unknowingly during C-sections. Other times, they were coerced in order to retain welfare benefits. Sterilization was so widespread in North Carolina that a bill was passed in 2015 to give victims financial compensation.
This is Exodus to a T. Nothing's ever changed.
No, but there's no racism. It
No.
doesn't exist.
No, of course not.
We're just complaining. Never forget the Holocaust. Never forget 9/11. But why you still complaining about the things that happen to your people? You evil mother.
And it's like you said, this is 2020.
Oh,
2020. And the Most High put the spirit of Pua and Sifra on Dr. Wu.
no might in our hand, because that's
right,
something,
bro.
boy. You just wanna run in there like a freaking enemy with a katana blade and just cut people up. Bastards, like you were saying now, how we're gonna dash their children. Hey, in that day, the Lord is gonna bring all that to our remembrance, bro. Because we can't get that angry now. We can't get that.
Right.
He's gonna fill our spirit with what we need to do when Christ comes to invade.
Well,
bro.
that, and then he's also going to let us see. This is stuff that we know. This is stuff. There's so much more
Yo,
evil things
right,
that we
right.
don't even know.
Yeah,
about.
exactly. Do you know what that's like, bro? That's gonna be like, you're gonna see in your different regenerations when your children were killed, when you were killed and tortured,
But
when
it's
your
not-
wife, when your mom was killed.
Yeah.
So that you have the motivation to see through. Remember, it said it's gonna be like he tread the wine press, bro. But you know they talk about gory movies now, like excessive, bro. It's gonna be like that. You know how Samson the jaw of the thing like stuck to his hand because of the blood and the and the fat starts to melt in. That's gonna be us doing that stuff because of all the evil that they've done to our people.
Can I bring something out?
Go ahead.
Isaiah 47 and verse 3. I'm gonna jump a couple verses. Isaiah
I got it.
47
I got it
verse
for
3.
you.
I'll praise this. Thank you.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 47 and verse 3.
Now it's talking about the virgin daughter of Babylon, which is America, and what's gonna happen to them when Christ returns.
Hey, that sister was like Shipra and Pua, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
She said, "I ain't gonna let this go on."
Mm.
Oh, I didn't hear you say that.
It sure is hot today.
Oh.
It's
when
hot
did you
here.
when did you say that?
Like 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
I heard it.
You were all fired up though.
I was on my rant.
In your defense,
It
you
I
were
was
all
on my
fired
rant.
up.
Kind
I
of
was on
freaking
my
scared
rant.
me there a little bit. I'm like,
I was on my rant. I was on my rant.
Oh, my goodness.
you even say yeah.
I just do that. I do that so that I can continue on with my thought.
Now we know. Now we know.
Even if you're wrong, I'm probably like, yeah.
I said, yay.
Go ahead.
Now we know. The book of Isaiah, chapter 47 and verse 3. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen.
And that's what's happening today. We've seen this with this whistleblower. I'll praise to the Most High. Come on.
I will take vengeance and will not meet thee as a man.
I will take vengeance, and the Lord Christ is not going to come back as a man. He's going to come back in his God power form. Can you jump down to verse 8?
Super Saiyan?
Super Saiyan,
Super Saiyan Christ?
Christ,
course.
mighty O God.
Verse 8.
Verse 8.
Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine hearts, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children.
Because right now they're in high power, right? Above all nations. They're the power of the earth. But this is their judgment. Come on.
But these two things shall come to thee in the moment in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments.
And the multitude of their sorceries, great abundance and enchantments is these things that we're seeing. That we're reading
you know
about.
what their sorceries are? A hysterectomy is a sorcery.
Right.
That's right.
because they're trying to circumvent the Most High's process of us being fruitful and multiply. The mass media is their sorcery. Their science that's in opposition to the Bible is their sorcery.
And that's heavy.
Their indoctrination is their sorcery.
Trying to usurp the first commandment that he gave to man. was
Yep.
To be fruitful.
Be
and
fruitful and multiply.
This man
Hey,
is the devil.
these masks are sorcery, whether people realize it or not.
Yep.
Hey, and then it says, "These things shall come upon thee; they shall come upon thee in their perfection." That's when we're starting to get ourselves right, and then the Lord's come back when the 144 saviors, the elect, the people that are going to judge the Mount of Esau, the Israelites. That's going to come to the mount to the virgin daughter of Babylon, which is America.
So let me finish this article out. It says, of course, when it comes to undocumented immigrants who are regularly referred to as unwanted aliens by the current president. No, not just the current president. That's the thought. That's the innermost thought of Modi. The president just voicing it. It's not so surprising that these practices went unreported for so long. One immigrant in the complaint put it best. This place is not equipped for humans. That's all I got.
That's crazy.
Meditate on this, brothers and sisters. This is heavy.
That's all I got.
That's what we're dealing with.
Yep. Hey man, that sister was like, damn, I can't believe I went with that one. I know I'll be looking at other people. I'll be like, oh, sure is hot out here.
Oh, snap.
I was not paying attention.
He said, yo. She was like, sit from poor.
And I'm like,
Let me leave you guys with this butter on that biscuit. That sister was like, sit from poor.
I heard you though. I was there. I was like,
Oh man. Anyway.
two witnesses established.
I'm not denying it. I'm just surprised.
No.
that I did it.
It was very surprising.
Did you guys watch the Boys yet?
Yeah, I didn't watch the most recent episode. No.
It's up to like episode 5.
Yeah, no, I didn't see.
It reminds me of like America and what's it called, the king? What's it called? When their kingdom is going down. That
Age of
Decadence.
right. And then the superheroes are like the spirits they pour out.
Hey, that's heavy because Homelander's supposed to be the embodiment of the United States. So, like, if the United States had a personality, it would be the Homelander character.
And he plays it perfect.
And he
But
does.
Did you watch the?
I haven't yet.
Bro,
I need to though.
when you see the actor, I'm telling you, when you see the actor that plays Homelander on Amazon, there's a little thing that they did like an interview with some of the cast.
The bonuses?
Yeah, it's like I forgot what it's called. I'm gonna look it up so I can show you because you gotta see it. They did an interview where you see them out of character. They're just regular, like the actors that played them. The guy that plays Homelander, you would not believe that he's the guy that plays Homelander if he didn't look like him. Damn. Because he's nothing like this dude must go to like a dark ass place to like play this guy.
That's witchcraft. That's sorcery too.
Bro, it's insane, bro. Because you look at the character as it is and you're like, God, let me tell you, you know a villain's good, man, when you hate the hell out of that villain, bro. You know, when you're just like, oh, that mother. Or damn, this dude is crazy.
Yeah.
And then you see him like regular, and you're just like, gosh, what does he go to with this place?
Yeah, right.
You see, their soul's not a bright in them, bro.
You know what else? You know what else is sorcery? How you got all that grease on your fingers, bro?
That's from the beard.
Is that
That's
what
from the
it
beard.
is?
Because I went like this.
I'm looking at everybody else. It's just
Yeah,
like
I went like
and
this.
you know that
I know. I don't want my beard to look like hay, like yours.
the ADD. The ADD.
Damn, bro.
Put some oil in that thing.
I'm hating, bro, man. I got a good beard. Mine came naturally.
You got that's sorcery, bro.
That's sorcery.
That's a sorcery.
No, it's not sorcery when it's of God.
You got
No,
something to say
no.
about beards?
It was
Say what?
No,
You got
bro.
something to say about beards?
I saw
No,
this and
no,
I've been
no.
trying to. Hey, I've been trying to wipe it out from like earlier.
Yo,
because-
it's destroying me,
because
man.
I
I'm like,
touched-
what the hell is wrong with his hands?
because I touched here and then I went here and I was like, oh. I know it's terrible.
All right.
I know, and then I'm annoyed because I'm like, damn, we just got these. No, you know what I got to do now? I got to oil the whole thing so it looks uniform.
No. Clorox wipes, man. Put some Clorox wipes on your seconds. Come right out.
Anyway, that's the show. Lord's will be on next week. All right. And make sure you like, share, and support. All right. And with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.
Lego.
Israel is back.
We back.
Israel is back.
We
got
back.
the nations running scared because Israel is back. All lies on us, cause we keeping them laws.
Keeping them
when the
laws.
Lord return, Babylon will fall.
go
Precepts solid. We got them on lock. God's chosen people with Christ as our rock. Israel is back.
We back.
Israel is back.
We back.
You heathen, get ready for our whip to crack.
Damn.